Hello Hypnothoughts Live friends! As promised, here is the first video in our Ericksonian language pattern series. If you're really interested in learning Ericksonian hypnotherapy, inductions, trance phenomena elicitation, and how to apply both to therapeutic change and how to work as an Ericksonian hypnotherapist, then click the link in this post and check out our HT Live pre-conference 3-day training, and it'll either be up here or down there, wherever the text goes on this post. You'll find a link to the class, and we look forward to seeing you there. Now, today we're going to start with the very first Milton model or Ericksonian language pattern that I learned, and it's something that we use all the time. We're just bringing it to conscious awareness. Now, if you are someone who uses scripts and are interested in starting to make a transition away from scripts, you will find this really, really helpful. If you are someone who doesn't work with scripts, who is used to just speaking, and would like ways of consciously knowing what you're doing and consciously refining those skills, if there needs to be refinement, you might already be totally awesome and amazing, then you might find this video interesting. Now, today we'll be talking about cause-effect relationships in suggestion. And before we jump into what this is, I think it's really important to point out as well that any of the language patterns that we'll be sharing with you over the next few weeks do not exist in a vacuum. It's not like, okay, now it's time to do a mind read, now it's time to use an ambiguity, now it's time to do this or that. No, we tend to, in normal speaking, use all of these language patterns, throughout the span of a few sentences or simultaneously in some cases. However, what we're doing here is just bringing some awareness to the specific patterns and how you might want to use them or think about them within the hypnosis context. So if I should, in my examples, mix up some patterns, include some extra ones, I can't help it. It's just the unconscious mind. So here we go. The cause-effect or the because suggestions. You are a skilled hypnotist because you are someone who knows how to go into trance comfortably. And because you recognize the value of trance in your clients' lives, you can also know that to be an excellent hypnotist, you have to be fully acquainted with your own experience of trance. And when you can do that, your skills deepen even more, because your unconscious mind has both the first person experience as well as the second person experience. You'll know what it's like through your client's shoes. And because you're interested in learning these skills, that means as you watch this video, your unconscious mind can easily integrate the language patterns, so you realize that you naturally do them anyway. And because you naturally do them anyway, integrating them in hypnotic suggestion becomes so much easier and automatic. So, because. Now, the cause-effect relationship in suggestion works for a couple of reasons. The first is that the unconscious mind likes plausibility. If something seems plausible, the unconscious mind will go along with it. This is one of the key components of the placebo effect. If it seems plausible, then the unconscious mind says yes. If a doctor in a white coat gives a patient sugar pills, a lot of times the patient's unconscious mind will go, okay, this is medicine, let's make the change. So you have plausibility. The second reason why this works is we tend to tune out what is said in the second half of sentences. We can only track about 7 words consciously, so we very, very quickly forget what was said before. Or if we're holding on to what was said before, we're not paying attention to what's said after. So when you have a sentence construct with because in the middle, if whatever is said after seems at least somewhat plausible, it will slip by conscious filters and the unconscious mind will go, sure. There was a really interesting study done. I cannot remember who did it, and Sean is not here right now for me to ask. So I'll just give you the setup, and I apologize to the research designers for not properly crediting them. If I can find it, I'll put it in the comments section. But anyway, the study did this. It had 2 groups of people. And these people were lined up at a Xerox machine because they were told that they had to make copies of a sheet of paper that they had. In the first group, the control group, the researcher would approach people and say, hey, excuse me, do you mind if I cut in line? Can I cut in front of you? And some people said yes, but most people said, no, buddy, get back to the back of the line. In the experimental group, in group 2, what they did was they said, excuse me, do you mind if I cut to the front of the line because I need to make some copies? Most people said, sure. In fact, it was statistically significant, the number of people who said, yeah, absolutely. And it kind of doesn't make sense because everybody in line needed to make copies, but people weren't tracking after the because. The researcher said because, that communicated to the unconscious mind, oh, there must be a valid reason that this person needs to do this, and the reason was plausible enough that it didn't set off any conscious red flags, so the researcher could just slip to the front of the line. And when we give hypnotic suggestions, the same mechanism is at play. So it gives you a lot of room, especially in the second half of because statements, to slip in suggestions. Now, the other way that you can use the cause-effect relationship is also as a pace and lead, in which case you might give a suggestion with because at the beginning of the sentence. Because you're watching this, you can notice a sense of comfort. And because you're noticing that comfort, you might find that your breathing can slow down, that you can be more aware of the space around you. And because you're a hypnotist who is interested in deepening your own skill sets, you are also someone who is creating positive change in countless people's lives, including your own. So the cause-effect sentence structure, whether the because is in the middle, or you flip it and you have the effect at first and the cause in the second clause, is a really, really powerful tool. It lets you slide in lots of suggestions. If you're familiar with embedded commands, you can do them in these statements as well. Because you're sitting here, that means that you're learning comfortably. If you're not familiar with how to do embedded suggestions, we'll be covering it in one of these videos because we're covering Milton model language, so you can look out for that in the future. I hope you enjoyed this really short segment, an introduction to cause-effect. In future videos, we're going to be covering complex equivalences, mind reads, unspecified verbs, and other pieces of sentences. Also, my favorite group of Milton model language patterns, the ambiguities. Ambiguities are a really wonderful way of creating hypnotic trances that sidestep any conscious processing. For those of you who are familiar with mind-bending language from Igor Ledhovsky or its root, John Overdorf's attention-shifting coaching, if you're familiar with the concept of the void, Milton Erickson was the first guy to really tap into this with the artful use of ambiguities. So we'll be covering those as well. Hope you enjoyed this short video. Once again, if you're interested in checking out the course and everything that we're going to be covering, you can click the link either above or below, wherever it is. And we look forward to seeing you at HT Live 2019. Bye.